I don't know if you can get much more American than this. Not me, this.
All right, guys. Welcome to the Deer Shop Podcast, presented by Siman Brothers Outdoors and the Leaky John Boat Company.
Yeah. He went and watched a movie that has a $200 million production budget, and then the next thing he watched was our video on YouTube that has a $0 production budget.
This is the first buck I've shot in over 10 years.
Your track job was the first fun track job. That kind of like, I think part of my life was influenced by that night.
Then you miss him 3 times with a rifle at 70 yards on video for the whole world to see.
That's what killed it. 5 years ago, we couldn't shoot a deer at 100 yards with a slug gun. Now you're shooting turkeys at 100 yards with a shotgun.
Joey takes
The shop is closing up.
Make sure he takes all his right antlers. You can't leave anything.
All right, guys. Deer Shop Podcast, episode 130. Today we have the many adventures of Will Disbrow. Myself, Ethan, and Will here in his dad's, what do we call this? Is this the barn, the shop, what does your dad refer to this area as?
The bar.
The bar. We're in the Bill Disbrow Bar. As you can see, I'll probably do a little tour later for the intro of the video.
We're looking at a jackalope.
Yeah, I can see.
Bear rug, a pheasant, titties on the wall.
Yeah, there's beer signs everywhere.
Buffalo skulls.
A coon hat.
A coonskin cap. Your dad has an obsession, I've noticed since I've been up here looking around, with BB guns. There are BB guns everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a box over there, a fresh Daisy, a couple Red Riders on the ceiling. The original Red Rider, first ever.
What the hell is that thing?
It's like a wooden blunderbuss. Well, you know what those are called, the old duck hunting.
Yeah, no, the side-by-side. So Dad's obviously fascinated with woodworking. So whenever he got the notion, he would build guns completely from wood. Those are my toys.
That was your toy gun as a kid?
Absolutely.
That
Side-by-side.
That thing is awesome.
It's awesome.
There's a snake over there, mounted rattlesnake, bear skulls.
All sorts of stuff.
Wildlife paintings, firefighter paintings, just stuff.
If you know the crew, you know Bill.
Yeah.
He's in the trout fishing videos.
Yep. Yeah, Will and Bill are in the trout fishing videos quite often. Will made his first appearance in a hunting video this year. You were in it for like 4 minutes.
Which one?
When you shot your doe with the crossbow.
Oh, the last resort.
And the arrow, like you ended up killing her dead, but the arrow, or the bolt, I should say, bounced out of her back towards you after you hit her. It was like a very strange, like...
I've never shot a deer with a crossbow, so there's a first time for everything. I didn't know what to expect.
What year is that crossbow made?
I bet that's 2000, 2002.
Yeah, it's like the original Horton crossbow.
Oh, it's OG. Nothing special.
You can hear it.
It was pretty cool. The video was cool. We were going to be shed hunting today and doing a bunch of stuff outside, putting out mineral licks, but if we look out the window here, it's snowing like a bitch again.
Yeah.
We had about a week and a half of reprieve. All the snow melted. It got up into the 60s.
Yeah, it was
a couple
nice.
times. And then today, of course, weekend, we were going to do a bunch of stuff outside, and it's just snowing like crazy. So
the property we were going to walk got ran by dogs yesterday,
so
which I've already walked.
Yeah. Little update on the Moby sheds. They have not been found, and they might not be found at this point, but we're going to give it hell some more, but
There was a neighbor with 3 feeders.
Yeah.
In a 5-acre chunk of property. I was standing on the property line looking at it, and there's 4 deer feeders within 15 yards of each other.
Yeah, like the gravity boss bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With hay, it's stuck in trees, trying to knock sheds off. This is the same guy that put the fence up in the summertime, so the trail wouldn't be used between field and him.
This guy, I'm sure, at this point, he had to have been tipped off about this podcast. I'm sure we've talked about him a bunch.
I mean, maybe
not. Triple feeders and hay up in the trees to knock off sheds is serious.
Yeah,
like that's some serious work. That guy wants those sheds bad.
Maybe he found him. Maybe he got him.
Maybe you should go knock on his door.
Maybe I shouldn't. He has 2 tree stands next to each other facing different directions, and I haven't figured out why.
I'm not going to say how big his lot is because I don't want to give too much information away, but this gentleman is utilizing every available space he has.
You can shoot from his back porch to the feeders. I could see his back porch through the lot.
I mean, is that smart, though? You know what I mean? Like gun season, the guy sitting there just waiting for a 200-inch buck to show up. And
yeah.
I mean,
he clearly did not get him.
No.
So his tactics are not working, as along with mine. So.
No, we know your buck is alive, and we know your buck is shed, and we know he's hanging out again with his buddy from the summer, and you've had him on camera, I think, every single night for like the last week and a half without antlers on his head. So it's kind of weird how that worked out, but
Yeah.
he's around. The sheds are laying
In
somewhere.
the same area he was in the summertime.
Will found, it's sitting on the table here, you can see it. Will found an absolutely insane road shed.
You could call it a road shed. As you know, I typically don't spend a lot of time out shed hunting. So leaving the house yesterday and got a quarter mile away and just happened talking with my son, looked out the window, taking the lab for a run, and looked out the window and in the ditch laid that pig. I literally couldn't
Could you
believe
imagine?
it.
No, I've never found one. Obviously,
From the
shed,
road.
Yeah, I'm a shed hunting lunatic, and I'm looking out the window. I don't look forward when I'm driving. I look sideways, and I'm always looking for road sheds. I'm always driving routes where like a shed could possibly be laying, and I've never found one. And then you have
Some
that.
poor bastard is going to walk 18 miles this spring to look for this thing. You found it in
I
the
know.
ditch.
Isaac was like, somebody's going to look for the next 2 years. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, sometimes even a blind squirrel finds a nut.
I
so-
love how when you explain the story to me, I love how you were cognizant of like the etiquette of road sheds. You're like, it was literally in the ditch, in the easement, like free for the taking.
Yeah, when easement comes in, you know it's kind of questionable, right? I'm like, well, I mean, if this was a power line ordeal, we'd be working right there. So I mean,
Right.
I felt it was okay.
So like there's it brings up a good point. You know, if you see a shed like that out 50 yards into someone's field, like I know that a lot of guys will run out and grab it, and like the urge to run out and grab it is huge. But like in theory, that'd be stealing, right?
Trespassing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can tell you, stopped in the truck, country, middle of nowhere, right out where I live. Getting out of the truck, I got my kid, my 7-year-old, watching me. I get back in the truck, and he goes, "Did you just trespass?" I mean, and that was that quick, right? Because kids are smart enough,
Right.
And he's like, "Did you just trespass?" And I said, "No, it's literally on the other side of the ditch." And
You're saving someone's tires. You know what I mean? You didn't want.
Yeah, and then we went through 30 minutes of dynamics of what trespassing is and isn't ethically. Because at 7, I don't want him to get the idea that he can just wander out wherever he wants.
Right.
And he's like, "Well, it's probably okay because," and I'm like, "No, there is law, and there would be a problem if this was in someone's front yard. We wouldn't be walking up to their front porch to grab a shed that they happen to lay on their front step."
Stop and ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so like if you have permission to hunt the field or something, obviously that's different. But
Oh yeah.
you're just driving down the road, you see a shed out in the middle of a field. It's like, I know what a lot of people would do, and I'd think about it myself too. But at the same time, like you said, you were within a half mile of your house. Like this is a deer in theory. In theory, you could attempt to kill next year.
Yeah,
Theory.
absolutely.
When you're just driving down the road 50 miles from home and you see a shed out in the field, that shit doesn't really do a ton for me because it's not something that you can.
It's not
I could beat.
obtainable.
Yeah, it's not something that I'm going to be hunting, so it doesn't quite mean as much as like if I would see that down the road from my farm, I'd be like, holy shit, you know.
Yeah, and there are a few spots we can hunt around there, and we do see some monsters.
You said your wife had video of it on her phone.
Yeah, so she's seen. I mean, we both have. I sent you guys the video the other day. I mean, we saw 40 plus deer herded up across from the house. Yeah. And
Yarding.
not an antler in sight. So they're definitely dropping. But in this particular case, I know a gentleman who lives very close by, and the fact that he's retired, he's in and out of his house all day, and he would have seen it. So I know it fell that night. I mean, it didn't even have dew on it.
Right.
Like it probably fell off between the night and the morning.
Yeah.
And then where that deer was probably headed would probably be a bedding area. And I'm like, okay, is it worth going? And what's your opinion of that? You know me, not being a shed hunter. Is that something you go knock on doors and say, hey, do you go wander through that if you got permission?
If it was a deer, that I was personally after or invested in, like the deer we were talking about, like Ethan's deer Moby or one of our hitless bucks, and like we found a shed on the side of the road or maybe somewhere facing towards the direction of a neighbor where we don't technically have like places to be, I would have no shame on it. Ethan's been doing it all spring, knocking on the door and be like, listen, I found one set. I found one side, and I'd really love to find the other side of this deer. And I'm thinking that he went back in your pasture. I'm thinking he went back behind in your valley.
It's a narrow piece of woods.
A lot of people are more apt to allow that kind of thing than straight up saying, "Oh, I want to hang a bunch of tree stands and do."
Oh
some
yeah,
hunting,
no.
I'm just looking for an antler, and I found one side. And I think the other side might be on your property. There's always a chance that the guy's a dirtbag. And he's like, "Well, I've been looking for that too," and he goes back there and looks for it, but. You probably know
it's not being a dirtbag if it's his property.
No. But taking the information and using it, I guess you're right. That's not him being a dirtbag, but
everything's time too.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
How much time?
Yeah. So it's weird. You say you saw that field full of deer, no sheds, like they're all off their heads. We haven't had a mature buck on camera holding antlers in probably 2 weeks. I mean, it's been a good amount of time since I've had a buck holding his antlers still. But I got buddies who text me and they're like, dude, my bucks are still holding. Like, what, you guys are shed hunting way too early. And I'm like, all the sheds we want to find are in the woods, factually.
Yeah.
Like, they're all the bucks are walking around with big holes on their head. Like, the antlers are off. So there's no such thing as too early once they're off. But there are guys that still have bucks holding. So.
We still have a couple bucks holding. We've got pictures of.
And I was looking back through my phone the other night. Like, I find the majority of my sheds in March, mid-March, like a few at the end of February, but normally we're not really looking hard until March. And it's February 22nd, I think.
Yeah, you found 6. Luke's found 5. I found 2.
Yeah.
Well, because we could see grass. Look at it outside. I mean, it's almost a whiteout. So.
Well, we had that beautiful condition where there was insane amounts of snow and cold for like 3 weeks. I mean, we had 15, 20 inches of snow out there at one point, and it all melted and got warm. So naturally, you're going out and looking.
Yeah.
That's just the progression of it.
I would stop and ask, by the way, property.
That's probably.
I don't have a ton of business to go through just because
it's the off season.
It's the off season, and the only kind of episodes or the only videos we've really had have been the podcast.
Lucky Doe Donner hasn't commented, has he?
No, there's been very minimal comments the last couple of weeks. I found the other day, I found a giant shed. I found the second biggest shed I believe that I've ever found in my life.
Pretty big.
76 and change. Audience, by the way, we want to hear your score guesses on this shed. So
we'll post it up at the.
I'll say it next week. Yeah. So if you're watching the video on YouTube, you can see that shed. I'd like to see what you guys think it scores, but
get a good view of it.
I found last week my second biggest shed that I ever found. It was a deer that I was specifically going in looking for. His other side is bigger, and I would really like to find that. And a bunch of us from the group have spent time trying to find that shed since I found it, and we know it's off his head without any luck. But that brings up a point. While in the pursuit of said shed, one of our guys found what I would refer to as an out of place shed. He found a shed, and it was a good shed, not quite as big as that. I'd say, off a mature buck, off a shooter quality buck, but we don't recognize it. We've had trail cameras on this property for 15 years, and this shed is huge, and it was laying in the woods. It's at least a year old, maybe 2, not chewed up at all, but it was tines down, just like the curve showing and kind of in the mud. But it's off a buck that we have no idea what it is. Never had a picture of it, never had an encounter of it, never saw it from the road in velvet. And it brings up the point, we think we know based on our hunting and our trail cameras, but then physically a deer was there that dropped his antler that we just had no idea even existed.
In late season where the corn piles run, so we have a good idea of what bucks are in the vicinity based off of they're at the corn pile most nights.
It's kind of wild to me just to find something like that. And that does happen from time to time. We find these out of place sheds that just don't make any sense. I think a lot of it is actually probably, you alluded to it, guys are baiting up until a certain point where they decide it's not worth to spend the money on the off season to bait anymore, so they stop mid-February.
And they go find food.
Maybe even beginning of March they stop baiting. So then all of a sudden wherever that deer was, Hunter Bob is no longer baiting, and he has to kind of expand to find food, and then that might be why things are, or we find sheds drop that just don't make any sense. But I thought that was kind of weird. We've shed hunted this property forever.
Yeah, we probably walked past that shed.
I walked past it the day
5 or 6 times.
Yeah. It's kind of wild. You ever find any out of place sheds like that?
Again, I'm no authority. You know what? Honestly, the most sheds I found consistently were never looking at all.
Yeah.
Right? Back when Ohio had a good population of grouse, and we'd go down coal country and hunt grouse.
Yeah.
Right? Because you cover a lot of miles.
Right.
Big pieces of public and private. My uncle belonged to a kind of a collective group. I'd call it a buying group, but basically a leasing group. And we'd go hunt huge stretches of strip mine country. And I found a pile of sheds doing that. But it's they were year old, right? Because you're in the fall, right? But you'd find all kinds of sheds, but you got to cover the country.
Oh, they're in the grassland. There's no squirrels to chew them up either.
No, it's,
There's mice, but do they really chew up the sheds like that?
it's strange because, like, I found a shed at this particular farm back in October when I was helping a buddy put up some blinds and stuff. I found a shed off a buck that he had killed 2 years prior. So the shed was 3 years old. It was wet and kind of moldy, but perfect condition, like not chewed, and it was in the timber.
Yeah.
So but then there's other sheds I found on that property that are just completely eaten to death by squirrels. So, like, I don't know. It's kind of weird how certain sheds survive and certain ones don't. I mean, I guess if a squirrel never finds it, a squirrel never finds it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but even mice.
Yeah, they say the mice.
I mean, mice are everywhere.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Nibble on stuff.
It's just strange. I guess the ones that are in the mud probably last a little bit better, but
Yeah, I bet they're not actively looking for sheds to chew on because they'll chew on any kind of bone, correct? Or is it only sheds?
I don't know. I find deer carcasses in the woods and the bones look pretty clean years later, like they haven't been chewed on. So I don't know I think the antlers are a little bit more dense because the bones are like
More nutrition,
fibrous. You know, they have like holes in them.
Well, and remember, a shed's or an antler's formed in 1 year.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Heavy mineral content.
Yes.
And probably something more that they want versus a bone.
Yeah, and the bone is, especially after it rots, there's nothing left there but there's nothing good left. You know,
Yeah.
once the blood leaves it. Two things, real quick, before we get on to Mr. Will Disbrow here. One is I need another one of them beers right there, Lone Stars. Two, I stopped in.
I might.
Yeah, might as well, right? I stopped in at the log cabin shop this week. I have not been in there since probably, I couldn't even tell you the last time I was in there. I was talking to one of the old guys. I don't think I've been in there since like Grandpa Jim times, rendezvous back in the early 2000s. But I stopped in there, and that place is cool as hell. Like, that place is awesome.
Probably hasn't changed.
It has not. Well, a little bit. They have a big giant museum. I took my hunter safety course there way back in the day, like where they had that classroom is like a museum now of old rifles and all kinds of stuff. They took out one of the walls, I guess the guy was telling me, so it is a little bit bigger, more open inside, but like everything that's for sale is in the same spot it was for sale when I was a kid. Like,
Hand carve your own musket stock.
yes, yeah. There were guys in there while I was walking around. There was a group of guys that were hand carving musket stocks. Like, that's what they were doing. But that place is just, I love old places like that. I talked to the old guy at the counter for a while. He said there's no shop like that anywhere else in the world. Like the black powder traditional stuff in that sense with like library and history and leather working. Like, it's the only place in the world that does that.
You move a box of powder and the dust is surrounding it and you just move them one up. There's just
I'm sure they go through stuff like that quite often, but some of the old rifles they had were pretty cool. They had a Remington 870 for sale I almost bought.
I forget they have guns in there.
They do. They don't have a ton of modern guns, but they have some. And then they have a ton of black powders for sale, obviously. Not inline black powders. We're talking traditional cap and ball.
Yeah.
The
and
flintlocks. They do
too.
flintlocks, man.
So they got some old squirrel guns in there for sale, like Davy Crockett full-length stock, like 60 inchers. Like, how cool would it be to kill a good buck with a rifle like that? Like, it would be fucking cool. But I wonder what kind of accuracy you can get out of those things.
20 yards.
Nah, probably more than that.
Based on what I've seen here locally and people shooting those Hawking kits.
We have a Hawking kit.
Yeah, everybody does.
A Renegade and a Cherokee.
Where they end up is right where that blunderbuster wooden toy.
Yeah, they end up on the
They end
wall.
up on the wall because after you like miss or wound a couple deer with a ball, you're like, this is not productive.
It doesn't penetrate well. It just goes in and stops.
A couple years ago, or no, it was last year during muzzleloader late season, I took my 45 caliber Cherokee. I took it out and was trying to kill a buck with it for like 4 straight days, and I never had anything close to in range. Isaac took a shot at a doe with the Renegade 50 cal and missed, but yeah, I don't know. It'd be cool though. Some of those guns are pricey. Like the cost of those old black powders.
Paying for a museum piece.
For real. All right, Will. It's time for you to introduce yourself to the audience properly. We talked about having you on episode 1 way back in July of 24, 130 episodes ago, and we haven't been able to make it happen until right now. But
No.
finally we're able to make it happen.
Not a spotlight guy.
No. But your stories and your adventures and what we're going to cover in this next hour or so is going to be a lot of fun because you do have some out-of-the-box stories and adventures that just the average hunter doesn't encounter.
Well, you know, a lot of times you put yourselves in situations you probably question later, which I'm pretty good at. But once over on me, 41 years old, grew up in Chatham, Ohio.
Yep.
I feel like the old guy of the group.
You are one of the older
Am
guys
I?
of the group.
I think I might be the oldest.
Because you're like the generation, you're actually 2 generations before me, kind of, when it comes to like I don't know, for lack of better terms, the groups. You know, you were in that like Matt Pavlik, Dan Pavlik, Andy Kaminsky, a little bit older group of guys. You guys were all graduated when I started high school. You're already out, you know, so. But you've been you recently found yourself spending a lot of times with the guys that are even younger than me. Like the Kyles and the Lukes of the world. Luke really wanted to be here, but he's sick as a dog. But he was like sad. He was sad that he wasn't able to be here today.
So I'll button that up. Husband, father of a 7-year-old boy. Family's everything to me. I used to spend a lot more time hunting and fishing. Like, it is what I lived and breathed. I can go back to when I was a kid here on the farm. This is our family farm, multi-generation, and spent a lot of time in the woods. I can't remember a time back when I was probably 5 that I wasn't being taken fishing, taken hunting, which I think is uber important. It's what I do with my son. And, you know, as life goes on, as I'm sure we'll get into some of my professional career choices, but today, professional salesman, if there is such a thing, just good at talking with people. Our farm backs up to South Cuyahoga Sportsmen's Association, which growing up as a kid was to me. So our farm backs up to a hunt club, sportsman's club.
Yeah, a very large sportsman's club.
Yeah, at the time wasn't so big. Started in 1932 and up in a Cleveland suburb, which today is in the middle of the city, essentially.
Yeah.
But back then it wasn't, right? So they had bought this property, which happened to be next to our farm. And growing up, it was my understanding, it was a bunch of city guys. You know,
down here to hunt.
Yep, come down here to hunt, lose their dogs.
Yeah.
And trespass on our farm.
Yeah.
So that's where I encountered most of them.
Typical.
Yeah. You know, but here I am, right? 30 years later, and I'm their membership secretary. We've got 1,200 people.
Yeah. It's a very large club.
It's large. We own most of the section.
Yep.
Now a mile by a mile and a half. And coming full circle back to it, it's uber important to me now. Besides faith, family, career, that taking care of that club because of the way the world is and what I want for my son and my family and my friends and their kids. You know, it's a cornerstone place to me now.
Yeah.
So it's important to me that it continues on, and I spend too much time probably taking care of it. And there's a great group of people there. Not that there never was, right? But everything from sporting clays, bird dogs, stuff like that. So
Fishing, deer hunting, turkey.
hunting, everything.
I
Indoor,
shoot archery there.
Yeah, Ethan does summer archery there.
Yep. So that's kind of the one-stop shop on me.
We've utilized that club for bridal showers, weddings, banquets, birthdays. Like you have a clubhouse there that's rentable, bunch of fishing ponds. I mean, it truly is a laid out property. And you bring up a good point. When you have something that impressive, that close to home, it's almost like a duty that you have to spend some time there, making sure that it's as good as it possibly can be.
And the world works against organizations like that, right? Yeah. So it's important to me. And also being neighbors, right?
Yeah.
To our farm. It's
might as well, right? Add a mile by a mile to your huntable.
Yeah. So I have no shame in telling our members that one of the reasons I joined once I moved home from being out of state for 10 plus years was that I wanted to post the property lines.
Yeah.
They did that. It's complete. It's a blue collar club. I'll say that. Costs near nothing to belong. And they would have work parties, right? It's all volunteer. And they would post the property lines. So I took that on early on. And the first thing I did was I wanted to post the property line on our farm. And they're like, you're putting the signs on the wrong side of the tree. And I'm like, no, I'm not. You come on our farm.
Right.
We never come over here.
Right.
Right. So we've switched the mentality. We got to all be neighbors.
Yep.
You know,
Signs on both sides of the tree.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just, and a sign every 40 feet because people are
Right. They like to wander.
get in a zone,
Ignorant.
right?
We used to hunt a large portion, not a large portion, but a good sized chunk of that farm back in the day before it was sold by some of our good buddies. And there was always some very, very impressive deer for whatever reason. I don't really know why. Maybe just because of the block and the way it is and the feed available. But like, it's always been a very impressive place for deer. But I guess I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's good for the deer hunting.
Yeah.
A lot of good turkey hunting back in the day too. I don't know if it's still any good.
So I had the dog out probably a month and a half ago, taking him for a long walk, right? Season's over. We're not doing much. And we pushed out probably 20 birds.
Okay.
I believe it, yeah.
The very first YouTube video on our channel, Tyler Arter's the zombie turkey that he shot 6 or 7 times.
Oh, yeah.
That was from that is on the property now that's owned by your club.
Yep.
Back in you have a pretty cool office over there. You said you're going to take us for a tour.
Yeah, the old farmhouse got converted into an office, and we've all got officers have little meetings and things there.
Our uncle actually used to live there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Random little story, but
Old farmhouse.
So you mentioned briefly in that little synopsis that you lived out of state for a while. You lived in how many different states before moving back to Ohio?
Only 2, technically.
Iowa and Texas?
Yep, Iowa and Texas.
That's also why I bought the Lone Star beer today for Texas. But you spent a lot of time living in Iowa. You actually worked at first, before the whole salesman gig, you were working for some of the Target companies, correct?
Yeah, so I went to school to be an engineer. I'm a really bad one. And manufacturing engineering. And, you're going to finish your 4, or if you're me, you're in your 5th year, whatever it is. It takes some people longer.
Yeah.
And everybody goes into certain industry segments, right? Which Ohio's big in automotive, and everybody who's going to automotive. I have zero interest in cars. Right. I spent most of my time outdoors. And I was like, there's got to be a hunting or fishing or ammo or something. So I was looking for an internship to finish school out. So I just started shamelessly writing letters asking for internships. I wrote Black Hills. I wrote gun manufacturers. I wrote anybody that I was interested in, basically, because if I casted enough net, right, I'd get somebody, and I did. And got an interview. Took my now wife out and got an interview with Delta Sports Products, which was Delta Targets. And at the time, they had just been acquired by Easton, Easton Technical Products, who is Easton Arrows, True Flight, Hoyt. Got an interview. They took me on. And I distinctly remember my wife going, I don't want to live here.
What's not to love about Iowa?
Pigs and corn, right? Pigs and corn and giant deer. So took an internship out there, ended up staying on for, it's kind of hard to remember that far back, 5 or 6 years. So I moved out there. Then she came out shortly after she finished school, within the first year. And totally, I wanted to be west of the Mississippi. That was also a prerogative, right? Like I wanted to be somewhere west of the Mississippi. And I always wanted to live in South Dakota. I'd been out there as a kid, and I was like, I don't think a lot of people would pick South Dakota, but I did. I was like, Iowa was close enough. Went out there and established, our life out there. And being in the hunting industry, right? So they had also recently acquired Mackenzie. Everybody knows Mackenzie for the taxidermy world.
Yep. Forms.
Yep, Forms. And still probably unquestionably the leader in forms.
Yeah.
And was part of, I should say, moving Mackenzie's facility from North Carolina, where they still operate today, moving their target division out to Iowa. And I was just out of school, right? I didn't have a clue, but I was like, yeah, whatever this is, I want in this, right? So I lived that for 5 or 6 years. It was 6. And, one side of it is being inundated. And I know you guys have heard me. It's, I used to bow hunt every day, no matter what. And I'm maybe a rare case, just how you react to situations, but being inundated with that every day. When I ended my tenure there, I almost took a break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it became work.
Yeah, it did. It became work. And, if you're fortunate enough to have the opportunity to go into the industry, I would do it. It's awesome and take the utmost advantage of it. I met idols.
Yeah.
Right?
You met like the whole murderer's row of famous deer hunters.
I remember being in an ATA show, sitting at a table with Jim Zumbo, sitting there my whole life, reading Outdoor Life.
Before or after he got fired?
Before. might have been in the period of the black rifles are bad, and here we are, right, building AR-450s. But Jim was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
But, got to meet some really cool people, got to go on some interesting adventures. I would say that it was pre-internet, right? I mean, internet was there, right? But it wasn't. It was pre-YouTube.
It was like forums and stuff. Like
yeah.
Dial-up internet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that experience I wouldn't trade, but I would say that kind of put hunting in the industry in general. Got to go to SHOT Show. I mean, got to do everything I ever wanted, basically. And when I was done with it, I was like, okay. And I was kind of glad to get out of that when I left. You know what I mean? Yep. To go back to treating hunting as a hobby. Right? Not so much as work. So I will say that. Don't regret it. But, personalities are personalities. Doesn't matter where you work at. And you meet some people who make it all about, you guys talk about it on your podcasts, right? Got to shoot the biggest deer. Got to do this. And then you put yourselves in situations or, people go, well, what did you shoot this year? It's like, well, I'm hunting public in Iowa, right? Like I'm not getting a $20,000, hunt to Montana.
Right.
So it was a weird dynamic, but I loved it for what it was. We designed targets. That's what we did. 3D archery targets, turkey decoys, all sorts of stuff. I was the head of the engineering department, and helped run operations for 6 years. Great stuff. But
do you still talk to any of those guys?
My best friend, who I'm sure we'll get into, one of my best friends, he's kind of my go-to, Drew, out west guy. Okay. Like if there's big adventures, it's me and Drew. So he was a supervisor in our plant. So it's probably been 20 years since, we've been palling around together shooting stuff. Yeah. And then another kid out there, best man at his wedding. He's a savage, true blue savage. He
Rocky?
No. This was a guy. No. This guy'd be up there though. His name's James. He I think it was last year. Like he's going opposite direction. Like he chipped his own flint broadhead last year, built his own bow, and shot a buck with it.
That's
Bruiser too.
That's the dream. Yeah, that's the dream.
He's a killer. But no, still talk to a few people there and know a bunch of people, right? Yeah. But those are the two I kind of stay in touch with. But aside from work, you want to talk about living out there?
Well, I want to talk about, and I know it's been a long time since you've done the Iowa hunting thing, but like one thing that our podcast lately has been just hammering down is the Iowa model and the differences between hunting in Iowa, like you did, and Ohio. Like, what have you noticed? It's if there's any way you could expand it on that. I know Iowa, no crossbows, no baiting, all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's definitely different out there.
Oh yeah, but we're talking. So moving out there, I moved out in June. So I qualified within, I think, 6 months back then. I don't know what it is today, but you needed residency, right? Established residency, some utility bills or something. And I could hunt, right? And our cousins who'd moved out here, moved out from Chatham, actually, had a farm on Route 2. If you know that in Iowa, that's where back then, Drury's, all these giant names were living.
You're talking about
Lee and Tiffany.
A.N. is who you're talking about?
Yeah. There's everybody who owns property in Iowa is probably a long route too.
Yeah.
Like that's where giants are. It's just north of the Missouri border. And I didn't know that.
Right.
But they had bought a farm down there. And so I said, yeah, I'm going to start hunting down there. So I still have it. It's actually on the club right now. I went down and naive to everything, right? I'm bow hunting here in Ohio. And I'm like, okay, Iowa, it's the land of giants. And I put up a aluminum 12-foot ladder stand and shot the first buck of my life out of that stand and changed my perspective. There, back then, and it probably hasn't changed much today because I don't pay attention, which is probably worth noting. I don't go to Iowa to deer hunt.
Yeah.
I think it's egregiously overpriced. That's my opinion, right? Living there 6 years, I know the deer that are there, and maybe they're there because of that reason, right? I would come home on Christmas because I could buy an over-the-counter tag back then for $60 here in Ohio, and I'd go shoot deer in Southern Ohio or here at the farm. So definite polar opposites on how they manage their deer herd. I appreciate Iowa's stance. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Right. My challenge down in Southern Iowa would have been the fact that it was and still is predominantly controlled by outfitters. And, to go get on a private place, you had to compete with outfitters, which you probably weren't gonna unless you had an in. But it didn't matter. It didn't have to be Southern Iowa. I mean, we'd shoot 20 or 30 deer a year. I mean, there's a giant deer herd there.
Yeah.
And, but I also would see bigger deer than I'd ever see in my life here in Ohio. I mean, you guys may prove that different. It's different dynamics now.
Yeah.
But I will drop tines on camera, just like it was a daily occurrence. It really was. Like there is just some giant deer out there.
Jay says it. Uncle Jay talks about this a lot. Like once you experience Iowa and that kind of deer quality, it dilutes. So like here in Ohio, you end up getting and that like this shed on the table, great buck. But in Iowa, Jay would go out there for 2-3 weeks hunting. You'd see 6 of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. And it's different.
Right.
Population density way lower.
Yeah.
Right. Now,
there's no one in that state compared to Ohio.
Not knowing what it is today, but it's more difficult to get a tag. Right. That's part of the reason I was glad to move there.
Right.
Right.
It's like 5 or 6 years of points for a good unit in Iowa now as a non-resident.
$2 state too.
Yeah.
So as a resident, we could shoot 2 deer. So I'd bow hunt and then I'd gun hunt.
There was like a way to get 3 technically, wasn't there? Like if you did like an urban
management. Yeah,
something.
they were big on management areas, right? For whatever we
Earn a
call
buck, right?
Yeah, there's like I don't know, sometimes I've seen that there's guys that somehow kill 3 bucks.
Well, there's like early season you can
we
kill
never
with
shot more
muzzleloader,
than 2.
and then
I
there's
can
like
vouch for that.
Yeah.
the archery buck, and then I think there's a third earn a buck for like the late gun season or something.
Yeah, I'm not exactly. I'm sure it changes district wise.
There,
and stuff.
again, coming from Ohio, we had a very narrow gun season, right?
1 week.
So it still hasn't changed, right? We got that bonus weekend, right? Muzzleloader was very predictable. Iowa's got, I think, 3 gun seasons, right? Just for back then shotguns, now straight wall, I believe. But it was 3 different gun seasons. You had to pick,
Right.
Come hell or high water, you had to pick which gun season you were going to hunt. They might be 2 days for one, might be a week for another. Just weird dynamics. And then they'd have muzzleloader or primitive, whatever they called it. I believe that was the case. Hard to remember all that. But our piece de resistance was when I lived out there, the deer population was so massive below Route 30. So imagine splitting Iowa into about thirds. So the lower 1/3 of the rectangle, which is Iowa, had an overpopulation of deer. And when I lived out there, they brought that on board. I think it was maybe a year or 2 there when they brought it on board. And you could shoot antlerless only below Route 30, right? It's only a third of the state. You could shoot as many deer as you could buy tags for until the county ran out of tags. So the county we hunted had 4,000 tags. They never ran out of tags.
So you just keep killing all season long?
We would so it went from, and it doesn't stray very far from it today, I believe. It's January 11th to the 27th. Rifle, right? It's the only rifle season. I'd never shot a deer with a rifle. So we had a little group of people, my wife included, and started showing up and would kill 10 deer a weekend and just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. The biggest deer herd I've ever seen still to this day was in counting over 200 plus deer.
Just out in the field feeding?
Yep. Just absolutely, just literally an entire hillside up into a hayfield. And that's, you go back to Ohio, that kind of diluted my image of what
Right.
we have here versus out there. Like, we would just post up and knock down does. We had to be careful because it's January.
Correct. Right.
And
right, Ethan? Ethan
and
shot a buck
You're
this year.
the one that, you're supposed to tell me.
I am blind. You know I'm blind and I can't see.
And honestly, because we're not like really doing quote deer drives or anything, like you had time, you could tell a doe, and we made, we weren't trying to shoot button bucks, small does, we're shooting old cow does.
Long nosers.
Opportunity presenting itself, most bang for the buck. And we did that for 6 years. 5 or 6 years, just shot and shot and shot. And we kept probably, I'm going to say 90% of the meat. I still haven't bought beef for 20 plus years. We would eat a lot of deer meat.
Yeah.
And there were times where you'd shoot deer if deer were running through a valley, right? And my wife's first rifle deer, I think maybe not her first deer, but setting up with a little 243 on a tripod. It's snowy like it is today. Everything's snow covered. It's Iowa. It's colder than hell. And we know deer are coming through this valley. Gets her first deer. Boom. Shoots it. Little button buck. She's all upset. And I'm like, well, she's like, are we going to go get it? I'm like, no, let's wait here for more deer. So more deer come through. Pow. It put it into a different perspective for me. That now since then, CWD, Blue Tongue, or whatever they've got, they have taken that season off the table off and on. Yeah. Because it'll just,
they had a real bad EHD die off.
Yeah. It'll just decimate those herds, but they'll bring it back. Like, I don't know what it is, but there's enough feed, enough cover, enough water, and those deer just come back. They're strong. Yeah. And we'd hunt public pieces along that route too. And we'd see outfitter trucks all day. Right, guys are coming out there spending $10,000 to shoot a deer, and we'd be shooting a lot of deer just on the little public that's around. That's one thing that I would say on Ohio, maybe AEP land, right, Ohio Power, whatever we call it, is we have a lot more public. Yeah, the public in Iowa is, I'm not saying non-existent, but is
it mostly like river bottom, like marshy?
It's not
type?
farmable.
Yeah,
right. It's not
floods
farmable. There's just not a lot of public. So I appreciate Ohio for that. There was plenty of opportunity growing up here to go hunt somewhere if you didn't have a farm like we grew up on or farm ground. Right. And Iowa was just not that way. Yeah. Not near enough public ground, in my opinion.
Do you miss it at all?
We talk about it once in a while. We'd probably move back to Texas. Wife said no Iowa because you hit -20 for a week.
Yeah, there's nothing to do. What do you do in Iowa at night?
In the winter? Drink? I don't know. Clean guns? Watch sports. Yeah, there is not a lot going on when it hits -20 with the wind, and you really question some of your decisions.
You were living in a smaller town, I'm assuming?
Yeah. 2,000 people.
Iowa
doesn't like Chatham, like small.
Yeah.
Iowa doesn't have a professional sports team.
Yep.
Nope, just the Hawkeyes, right?
Yep,
college.
that's it.
Who are their teams out there for football? Chicago?
Vikings, Bears, Packers.
Hell yeah.
A few Kansas City maybe. But yeah, no professional teams. Just not a lot doing. Yeah. Culture, way better.
So that's a good pivot, though. Then you moved to Texas.
Yeah, so 6 years, freezing cold, needed a career change. Had the opportunity to go work in Houston. And just a quick note on, so in making targets, right, we all know they're foam. So it's chemicals, right? We're making liquid foam into the form of a target. Yeah. So getting through that industry and getting to know some of those people, there's an opportunity to go work in Houston in the chemical industry. That's kind of a broad term, but we'll just use it. And so moved to Houston. We went from June in Iowa to June in Texas. And
a little bit of a difference.
Iowa's hot and humid, but you go to Texas. A guy who worked for me in Houston, Vietnam vet, he said, it was pretty wild. People who went to Vietnam, he said they didn't have to adjust anything from Houston. He's like, it was the same. Just rains every day. It's hotter than hell. It's 100% humidity, snakes, bugs, everything. And that's what it was like. And Houston's a jungle. Didn't do any hunting there.
Yeah, I assume you did not.
Houston is a jungle for people. It's a chipper shredder. That's what got us back home. We didn't want to raise a family down there.
Right.
But Texas, again, in that year, the year we moved down, they had just the year before they had just outlawed open container
Okay.
in cars. Like it's the Wild West. They're like, maybe you shouldn't have a bunch of open
sons
beers.
of bitches.
Yeah, no, like it was a big talk. They're like, well, I mean, you could technically have a beer in the car, and you're like, what? What's real life? And I work with some guys. Speaking of the no, I work with some guys who hunted, and then Drew, my cohort that I mentioned earlier from Iowa, we hired him, brought him down from Iowa and his family, and we tried to experience everything that Texas had to offer. We both kind of knew that we probably wouldn't be there long term, maybe. Again, love Houston, great city, but wouldn't live there forever.
Right.
I'd live up north.
You're one of the guys that, not to interrupt, you're one of the guys that kind of helped steer us towards a certain direction of music, because the music scene down
Best
there,
music on the planet.
Yeah, the music
question.
scene down in that way is
No question.
unbelievable. And we end up like, little sidebar, like me and my wife and Isaac and his wife and Will and Jamie, we find ourselves at the same concerts now all the time, because that music that you kind of brought up to this direction from down there is just unbelievable.
Oh yeah, best music.
Whiskey Myers, Turnpike Troubadours.
Just went to
Shane Smith and
and the Saints.
Yep. I mean, just awesome shit.
Great culture, great state. Definitely, hunting and fishing friendly state. I think the first time I went and bought what I'd call like a hunting license, like they print it out and you get like I forget what they call it. They got a cool name, call it the mega license. It comes with tags. It's like antelope tags, mule deer tags. It's got red drum tags. It's got snapper. You're like, how do I kill all of this?
You get your license and you flip it down it.
Oh, it's huge. There's all these tags attached to it. You might pay, I'm going to make something up, $300-400, but you're like, I didn't even know they had all that.
Right.
Panhandle, they got an antelope.
You need a tag for that? Shit.
A lot of good shark fishing down there.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, so things we participated in that are high level. Fish down in the Gulf, Intercoastal Waterway. Friend of ours has went through a few boats, but was like Port O'Connor, Freeport area down in the Gulf, and got to go out and fish rigs. I didn't like water. I still don't. Well, I like water.
I don't do so well on boats in open water.
No, giant water. Yeah, and it's nothing. You talk to those guys, we'd go out, whatever, couple miles. They're like, oh, this is nothing. Got to go 100 miles off, And I'm like, no, I'm okay with not doing that. But, yeah, fishing, catching just stuff you've never seen, laying anything in the world, cool fish. And then I mentioned to you how easy it was to catch sharks.
Right. Like guys like us try so hard to go to the East Coast and like wrestle up a low level shark species like a sand tiger, and you're down there in the Panhandle just catching anything.
The first time we were out,
or the Gulf,
we were just pounding fish, and how it works is you move rig to rig, right? Just
oil
depending.
rig, right?
Yep, oil rigs. And if you see dolphins, fishing ends. Because dolphins will like follow you around. They're like, oh, there's the fish, right?
Yeah,
so if you see dolphins, you're like, I got to go. So you cruise over another rig. And we were fishing all day, catching a ton of fish. And I don't know, my wife and our buddy go, we want to catch a shark. And I'm like, I already know. I never fished for sharks, but I know that I don't need to catch a shark. It's a predatory animal. Like, and it'd be like, I want to shoot and eat a coyote. Like, that's not on my highest to-do list.
Have you ever eaten a coyote?
No. Or a possum. It's kind of the no-go list.
Possum?
No. And I was like, man, you fish all day trying to fill a cooler, but our buddy's like, I do not want to deal with a shark. And they're talking him into it. And he goes, all right, so we caught this they got 50 different types of tuna. Right. So they catch this nasty little tuna that you can't eat, so irony, red, almost black blood. You can smell the iron just
Yes.
Cut it up. He wires up a rig, throws it over the side, and I'm like, all right, we can have a beer, hang out, whatever we're doing. 5 minutes. 5 minutes turned into 2.5 hours. Never saw the shark, drug the boat around. And he goes, okay, so based on his experience, he goes, and we were in a 26-foot boat, Grady white sailfish. And he goes, okay, just based on experience, we've been at this for 2 hours.
Right.
Workhorsing. And we've never even seen it. He goes, so I'm going to go over 8 foot, and I don't think we're going to get it to the boat. And at 2.5 hours, it went way out, and line went slack.
Yeah.
I'm like, did we lose it? And he goes, nope. It came right back directly under the boat and cut the line. And he was super relieved.
Yeah.
And that kind of turned me off for the Gulf, honestly. I was like, so we work all day to get fish we want.
Did he say what kind of shark he thought it was?
Hammerhead.
Okay.
I think a hammerhead.
Yeah.
And he goes, we wouldn't have been able to do anything. He goes, you get a shark even close to the boat. You know what I mean? We were cutting the line regardless.
Right.
You see, if
you weren't going to bring it out of the water.
No, but rounding that out, what amazed me was blood touching water, 5 minutes. Shark we couldn't get in 2 hours. How is that possible? I don't want nothing to do with that. I don't want nothing to do with that.
You see it
Like,
for
no.
5 seconds, then you cut it loose and it dies because it's so tired next to the boat.
Yeah, we've had, when we do the surf thing, we've had the sharks purpose, like their tails can cut the line. So
Yeah.
like they know if they get tension on it, they just got to swim back and like they cut the line.
But to your point, so on another trip going out, bigger boat, I think he had a 36-footer at the time, contender, and went out, fished some wrecks, and we're coming back in, and my dad was with us, and he's like, I want to catch a shark.
Oh, Willie.
And I already know that I don't want to do with this. And we go right to the mouth of, I think it was I'd have to look, Brazos or, New Braunfels or one of these rivers that comes down. There's only a few, right, that come out of Texas. And we got right to the mouth of the river. So if you think about fish, right, they feed.
Correct.
Right? So it's fresh water rolling into the Gulf. We caught so many, I think they're black tips. Black tips, maybe 3 feet long, 2 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
That you couldn't touch the water with bait.
Just
They were boiling with sharks.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't want anything to do with this either. Right? Like you're overboard or something. Like it's no bueno. And so that and Dad, I still have a picture of him. They brought one on board, right? Hooked up, and he's got it, and he's holding it like mid shark, and they're screaming at him to get control of it because they bend like a wet noodle.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
The
I'm gonna
tails will
watch
fuck
him.
you up.
I'm gonna watch him get a chunk of his arm just taken right off. And again, having a shark in a boat seems, you're like, oh, it's probably when it ends. No, everybody runs away because they just go. They'll chew on anything, bite anything. It's the craziest animal.
Pit bull.
Yeah, it is. Rabid pit bull in the boat, and you're like, get it out of here. You can't get them out of the boat fast enough. But yeah, that was my 2 cents on fishing the Gulf. Awesome. Never got to flounder fish. Wanted to do that. A lot of guys I knew, our neighbors and stuff, gigged flounder.
They have big grouper down there?
Grouper, I don't know. I never caught any grouper off of rigs. I know they would pursue grouper, but we get like red snapper and stuff.
Yeah.
Again, variety of fish, different than growing up here.
Yeah.
Like
largemouth bass, bluegill, and channel cats is
you
all
have
we
no
got.
idea. But hunting opportunities, unlimited. Again, not a state known for big public, right?
Yeah.
Except if you're down in Big Bend. Nobody wants to be down there anyway,
Right.
unless you're like trying to shoot an aoudad or something. But
A lot of invasives, right?
yeah. What are they, Neil Guy or I don't know. Whatever.
There's a whole bunch.
You can shoot a giraffe in Texas. I mean, you can.
Ted Nugent let them all loose out there.
No,
right?
they're everywhere. Zebras and all this other stuff. But our big deal was we got a leases down towards the border.
That's the big thing in Texas, right? Getting a lease.
So
because there's just so much land.
So just north of Houston was, I think it's Sam Houston National Forest, right? But it's pine woods and how the national parks work or the Forest Service works is it'd be being timbered. A lot of guys bow hunted up there, but I don't know a soul who shot a deer up there. Really don't.
Really?
For such a big piece of property. Deer smaller, right?
Body weight wise, right?
Yeah,
like
tiny
little.
deer, giant coyotes, tiny deer. And
Big racks though.
yep, protein.
Yeah.
Protein will do a lot of things.
They do a lot of baiting down there, don't they?
Oh yeah, it's not. I don't know anyone who didn't bait. Yeah.
It's kind of it's such a drastic difference from Iowa, right? Like,
Oh yeah, no, it was funny because we'd always like, well, what'd you guys? If it was Drew and I, what did you guys do to bait in Iowa? Did you like have a lot of feeders? And we're like, there'd be 10 miles straight of corn, dude. No, like we were trying to get to an area without corn,
right?
To hunt deer, and so yeah, totally different. We ended up having, I think, in year 2 and 3, we lived down there for 3 years. Had a lease in East Texas. If anybody knows Texas, that's
Bigfoot country, swamp country.
Yeah, kind of swampy, poacher's paradise.
Yeah.
Big timber. It's all timber. pine woods.
It's like the river drainage kind of goes like
Think like
by
west,
Arkansas and shit.
Yeah, West Louisiana,
Shreveport,
Southwest,
and all
Southwest
that.
Arkansas.
Yep. Falk.
And had a buddy shoot a deer over there, tiny little doe. 2 years of a lease. Pigs everywhere. Pigs, you could go on and on about
Hunting pigs out of a Suburban.
Yeah, so on our lease, I think we shot one pig.
Really?
Right? That's also what I learned. Pigs are hyper intelligent. Like,
Yeah,
I
they're
was, like,
very smart.
growing up on a farm, I'm like, okay, this will be easy. No, impossible to shoot a pig. We'd stay 24 hours in a blind through night, lights, everything. The minute you would leave a blind, I'm not talking over the bait. I'm talking 100 yards away. The minute you leave, 20 minutes later, there'd be pigs on the bait.
Yeah, they're
just so on it, man.
Yeah.
But then that wasn't working out. So we went to, our favorite story down there is going to an outfitter. I'm going to use this term loosely, okay? Won't tell you where the town was, but I can tell you that our buddy hooked us up with the hunt. It was north central Texas. And he goes, man, well, I got this pig hunt. We're going to hunt pigs out of a Suburban. And we're like, man, we're in. I think my dad came down. Yeah, Dad was down there.
Is that the famous photo? It's hanging up in here somewhere, right? Where he's like, you guys had the pigs hanging up and your dad hanging up as well?
It's here somewhere.
I know it's here
He
somewhere.
hung himself up on the meat pole next to the pigs.
And it's your dad's famous photo. It's got to be somewhere.
So we go out in the middle of nowhere and meet this guy. And, we're all shaking hands. And he goes, well, we're like, oh, you're the proprietor of this outfitter. And he's got a house in town, pre-Airbnb days, right? Yeah. He owned a house because it's nowhere Texas, and you can own a house for probably $20,000. So he's got this house. We all drop our stuff off there. He goes, well, you're going to go to my steakhouse. That's where we're going to have dinner. So the guy owns the outfitter. He owns a steakhouse. We go to the steakhouse, and we're like, man, there's not many people in town here. And he goes, well, I pretty much know everybody. I'm also the chief of police. And I'm like, what? Okay. Okay, so we were having dinner, and we finished that up, and I don't know, somebody said something. He goes, well, I'm also the water department manager. And I'm like, is this like you and your
Roadhouse?
family in
This is like
town?
this is like the town from Roadhouse.
It was wild, dude. This guy was everything. I didn't ask if he was fire chief, but he probably was. Like, this guy was everything in this little town. One-man show. And so he sets us up. We finish dinner, load guns. We've all got rifles, ARs, pistols. And the deal is, we're going to go out to these, whatever, rice fields, whatever they had, and cropland, right, row crop. And it's going to get dark, and that's all we know. And we're going to go shoot pigs. So we get into these 60s, 70s Suburbans. I'm talking old school.
Like the one from Wild America.
Oh, yeah.
Rusted out. Like,
and behind the first bench seat and the second bench seat, they had a 3-foot diameter hole cut right in the top of the Suburban. No way to waterproof it, nothing. And it was lined.
It doesn't rain there, right?
Yeah, it don't rain. And they lined it with pool noodles. So he's like, all right, well, again, hindsight being 20/20. So we have 2 Suburbans. We get into these things, we break up into groups, decide who's riding with who, maybe a couple waters, beers, whatever. And we're going to go out in these fields. It's going to be awesome, right? But there's always something you have in your mind about how something's going to go, and then reality. And if it's a good time, it's going to be really different. So we go out, and he's going, well, we got a little bit of a drive here. So we're driving, looking, and it's all gravel roads. Okay? It's gravel as far as the eye can see. So, there's some low-end guns, some high-end guns. Dust is rolling through the top of this thing like driving, be like the road to Baghdad, dude. This sand and dirt is pouring through this porthole in the top of the Suburban, and I'm like, holy shit, you're getting pelted. And I'm like, well, this seems normal, I guess. This is how they do this. And he's going, all right, guys, get ready. We're getting near a field. Okay, one we can hunt, I guess. And he's doing 70 mile an hour down this dirt road in this old Suburban. We're all sitting there, and he's like, load up. And we're like, okay, I'm talking common safety practice, right? We're all in an enclosed vehicle. Like, he's like, get him in the chamber. And we're like, what's happening? and he's like, all right, you're the guy in charge, right? Our guide. And I happened to notice he had night vision on, like Trigicon level shit, not like some dime store stuff you can get now from ATN or something. I'm talking nice shit. And he goes, all right. And He shuts the lights off. We're doing 70 mile an hour down a dirt road. He shuts the freaking headlights off. And I'm like, what is happening? And he goes, boop, pulls his night vision down, and he just starts going like this. And he's looking out the window. And I'm like, what do you look for? He's like, pigs. There's pigs out there. And I'm like, so what's our tactic? He's like, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to pull into this field. And he's got 2 window or mirror mounted lights like cops have. You know, big. And then he got a big light bar on the front.
Like a police or chief would have.
Yeah. The little shine around thing.
The police of chief.
Yeah, chief of police. Chief of police.
Have a Lone Star. And he turns, before he even did that, he goes, there they are. Doing 60, 70 mile an hour. And in Texas, not like Ohio, like a bar ditch. It's really long and narrow. Hell, it's as wide as this room, right? They're really big sloping ditches. This is nothing to drive a truck
like
into.
a slough almost.
Yeah, it's nothing to drive a truck down into the ditch and up into the field. Except if you're doing 60 or 70 mile an hour. This guy goes, there they are, and he goes, whoop, and whips it over. And we shoot up into this field, like airborne. And I'm clinging to my rifle. Like,
what kind of rifle you got?
I have my 270.
Okay.
Remington Model 700. I think it's still one of the ones that goes off sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not real life. And it's pitch black. We can't see anything. And we get into a chisel plowed field. Of course, I can't see that. I can feel it because I'm getting my teeth rattled out. And he's going, okay, we're getting close to him. Roll down your windows. We roll down windows, and he's like, all right, somebody get in the hatch. So I'm like, pick one of us. We get up in the hatch, it's pitch black, can't see. He goes, all right, I'm on him. He flips the switch, and there's probably 50 to 100 pigs. I don't know. Didn't really see them all. We were shooting out of both side windows. The passenger window, guy was shooting a 357 he had a 44. He was shooting at pigs. We were running pigs over. And the guy in the hatch was shooting pigs out of the hatch. And the guy driving is shooting a pistol out the side. And I'm like, this is not what you see on TV, okay? This is not what I had no idea what we were getting into. We shoot a bunch of pigs. He's chasing them. We're shooting them. And I think the guy riding shotgun he goes, man, my pistol's not working out. And the guy goes, hold on. He pulled out an SKS. He's like, you ever run one of these? My buddy's like, no. He's like, you'll figure it out. Just crack it. And I'm like, this is not good. We're shooting pigs. We settle down, turn around. All the pigs scatter. There's dead pigs, wounded pigs, pigs that got run over. I'm like, this, what is happening? Everyone's in shock. Like, no one's talking. They're like, not. We're like, that was wild. He goes, hey, one thing I want to mention, though, guys in the back or the guy riding shotgun, don't stand your gun up out the window. He goes, I had a guy wheeling a gun, shot a barrel clean off, right? So the guy in the turret swung over, and the guy in a passenger stuck his barrel up, shot his barrel clean off. He's like, so watch out for that. And I'm like, this is wild, dude. Ended up doing that a couple more times that night. Modus operandum. Run over pigs, shoot pigs. We get back. We had a mess of pigs. Have a local guy show up the next day, clean all these pigs. Stunk. Also, my first exposure to wild pigs down there.
They stink.
Oh, it's
like worse than a coyote.
They stink.
Yeah.
The meat's kind of rank. My opinion, right? I tried to throw bacon on a frying pan. Not like Iowa pigs.
Not happening.
And not like Ohio pigs. No, not great. Better for the sausage end of things.
Yeah.
Blew out a tire, drove backwards 5 miles down a dirt road. It was, it was everything you'd ever want out of, I think we spent $200 a piece. I mean, what are you going to get for $200?
Do you think he's still in operation?
No. So living down there, we went back there. The restaurant's closed. I think he's gone. Operation folded up.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Is he in prison?
I will say that out in a field, we're looking for pigs. I think we just got into a field and he's looking. And he's like, nobody turned their lights on. I go, what? And he goes, I think that's a game warden's truck. And I go, isn't your dad the police chief? He goes, yeah, I mean, we know him. I'm like, this is where we get uncomfortable, okay? Like, I'm paying you to take me somewhere. Please don't put me in a weird position. He's like, we'll be all right. But that's Texas.
Well, Texas sounded fun. But I got a couple other stories here that you We talked about pre-podcasts that are worth discussing. Your Western adventures. You seem to almost die every time you go out hunt out west.
Yeah.
I have stranded mule deer hunting Nebraska -20.
Yeah,
Permanently damaged nerving in the hand.
Growing up, again, reading Jim Zumbo and that, right? You know how it is.
Yeah.
Read Outdoor Life, Field and Stream. You're like, the only kind of hunting is elk hunting or caribou hunting. You're going to go shoot a grizzly. And you wake up and you're like 30 and you're like, uh-oh. You know, I better go do something before I'm too old not to. So I think Drew and I had been apart, right? He'd moved back to Iowa.
Yeah. He followed you to Texas for a little bit?
Yep.
Okay.
So he lived in Texas for probably 2 years, 2.5, and I lived total of 3, almost to the day. Moved back to Ohio, and weren't hanging out. Him and I, we'd spent a lot of time hunting together over the years, and he's like, we should do some sort of Western hunt. And you look into it, and you're like, man, I don't think either of us were making that much back then. And it was like, moving back,
Right.
I don't know if Waylon was born yet, but anyway, he had a couple of kids, and all of a sudden spending $15,000 on a hunt doesn't sound that epic, but maybe go out there and do our own thing.
Right.
So we don't know what we're doing. The first thing we did was, and I think Dylan and those guys went out. Dylan and Isaac went out after we did. Went to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I picked Nebraska because back to the differences in states, right? I could go to Iowa, but it would probably cost me $1,200 to shoot a whitetail. And I'm like, boring. He lives in Iowa. I don't want to do that. He doesn't want to do that. So I go, well, we can drive to Nebraska. They're damn near over the counter.
Yeah, I think Nebraska, well, at the time, it for sure was over the counter. I don't know if it is anymore.
We did put in for a draw, but it was like a guaranteed draw. And we went to the Pine Ridge unit in the northwest corner of Nebraska up against Wyoming. And we actually went out there. Like we went out in the summer. We went out, I drove out to Iowa, picked him up, and we went to the Pine Ridge unit and scouted. Right? Because I'm like, if we're going to do this,
We got to do it right, yeah.
Yeah, let's go do it, right? And good summer trip.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous in the summer. We scouted the central part of Nebraska, the sand dunes. I forget what it's called, but it's basically gigantic sand dunes for thousands of miles, feels like. And we saw deer, but not what we wanted to see. And then went up to the Pine Ridge, and we saw mule deer everywhere, whitetails too. And we're like, this is where we need to hunt, right? But going in the summer is always different than going. I think we were like the last week of their rifle season is what we drew for, and it's Nebraska. Again, it's negative. It's -20, and we get out there, and my buddy, our hunting relationship is this. Since the first time I took him hunting in Iowa, right when I put him on a piece of property that I was hunting, I go, this is where I'd hunt, and he's a savage. He climbed up in an oak tree, big old oak tree in a river bottom, shot a super whitetail. Nice one. He's like, dude, you find deer. And I'm like, yeah, I can't shoot them, but I can always find deer.
Right.
And pretty good at that myself.
No, I'm an expert. So, Nebraska, and on preparation, I'm always the guy. Like, I've got everything in the truck. I've got every tool, whatever. And I don't know what the deal was. I didn't want to drive my truck. He goes, we'll take my truck. I go, okay, this is the list of what I want in your truck. We're in Nebraska. It's snowing like hell. It's bitter cold, and we're way out in the Pine Ridge, and it's all BLM National Forest.
Right.
Saw a few forestry guys. A lot of it's leased for cattle ranching, and it's brutal cold, and it's apparent like day 1.5 that dynamics are not what we saw in the summer, right? And we're hunting pretty hard and getting out of the truck. And we know that 99% of the people are going to go a half mile from the road. So we were hiking way out trying to shoot deer, and we're just having a hard time. And again, being from Ohio, even Iowa, you can read whatever you want, but habits are hard to break. So you're like, let's do this. Mule deer don't move like that, right? They're nomadic.
Yeah.
And so we don't understand what's going on. We're trying to figure it out. And at one point, we were getting on some deer, and We're in the middle of nowhere. I'm talking way, way, way out from a town, from a residence. We're way out there. And there's some ranch houses around, but there may be nobody there. And Drew goes, well, again, we'll take Drew's truck, right? Single cab, short bed, little Dodge Ram pickup, 1500. And he goes, I had it serviced before we left the house, right? It's in Iowa. So we're out there, no issues. And we hunt really hard one night and afternoon and evening, and it's getting dark, and it is brutal cold, and snow is just ripping in. And I was like, dude, I'm froze through. Like, I can't feel my feet. Like, it's brutal. And he goes, yeah, and he was probably a half mile from me. We agreed to meet back at the truck, whatever. And middle of nowhere. And we get back to the truck, and we hop in, and I'm like, fire that truck up. I'm freezing. It's getting dark right now. And we're on a service road, like a forestry road, right? And he goes, click, nothing. And I'm like, he's like, I don't understand. I don't understand. My dad's a mechanic, right? You guys know that. So I go, well, let's start with the basics. He goes, brand new battery. I didn't put a new battery in. I'm like, okay, I'm not a mechanic, but being raised by one and working on enough junk trucks my whole life, I'm like, okay, let's check the basics. Battery cable's good to go. We know we got fuel. And you can tell the truck's on. But I'm like, it's always the starter. Dude, I don't know who's making starters, but they need a whole new fleet of engineers.
You bang on it a little bit?
I'm going to crawl under there. I crawl under there. I've never worked on a Dodge, but generally they're accessible. It's right above me. He's got nothing. I'm in Carhartts and all my shit. I crawl under his truck. Snow's this deep, and it's not going good. Crawl under there, and I grab the starter. I'll use your Gatorade bottle. Starter's right above here, and I'm under this truck, and the starter goes like this. And I'm like, bro, I'm feeling around. That particular starter had 3 bolts, missing one. The other 2 are loose. And I'm like, oh no, because I'm thinking starter ground, something that always...
Yeah.
No, the starter's barely attached to his pickup. And I'm like, dude, we are no service to speak of, right?
Yeah.
We're in the middle of nowhere, and it's going to be probably -15, -20.
You're going to die.
And I'm like, this is not good. So I'm like, hey, grab your toolkit, and I'll tighten up these 2 bolts. He deadpans me. He's like, okay, gets in the back of the truck, opens his toolbox. He's like, he's looking. And I go, I gave you a list. Forgot the tools. No tools. We don't even have a Leatherman. I'm like, all right, I'm going to probably get shocked. But he goes, what are we going to do? And I go, I've never done this, but let me hold on to the starter, and I'll hold it as hard as I can. So I hold on to the starter, and I go, okay, when I say crank it, crank it. So I'm holding on to this thing, just whoop, started it up. Best day of my life. As far as hunting goes, I was like, oh, freaking miracle. We had probably an hour and a half drive to town. And I'm trying to, my hands are numb.
Right.
Trying to tighten bolts. I'm like, we're probably just going to lose the starter. Oh, it's Sunday night too. Sunday night.
Yeah, there ain't no one open.
No. So we make it back to town. There's for whatever they've got out there, like a Tractor Supply. They close in like 10 minutes. I'm running in there. He knows I'm pissed. And I just need a bolt.
Did you leave the car running?
Yeah, absolutely. In the parking lot. So I buy a ton of long bolts. It's like a Fleet Farm, farm store or whatever. They got everything. So I buy a ton of bolts and hardware. And he's like, whatever, we buy a ton of shit. I don't know what'll work. Bought bolts that were way too long. Bolted up. It's janky. Starts on its own. I'm like, we're golden. We're golden. See? Hunted the rest of the week like that. It was fine. But yeah, that wouldn't have been good. We got stuck. That was our first quote Western hunt. I wouldn't even count it too much. We're hunting mule deer and it's Nebraska, but it was an education in being prepared.
Did you kill?
Shot a whitetail doe on the last night, I think.
All right.
He's one of the guys that shoots a doe on the out-of-state hunts.
You're supposed to, yeah. That's
it was
good.
like whatever. Anyway. So we've been out west since then. We've been mainly self-guided.
Right. This is the way Isaac and Uncle Jay hunt, basically. They do their own thing.
Drew, so we decided, okay, that was moderately successful. We didn't die. So next, maybe a year or two later, I think a year later, we put in for Montana, magically drew. We did the party draw, right? If he drew, I drew.
Yep.
And pulled elk and mule deer. And again, sometimes you got to look at those draws. Like if you draw for the latest rifle season, there's probably a chance you're going to draw, in my mind, because everybody wants first week or second week.
Yeah. Or
So you draw for their
peak rut archery.
Yeah. So you draw a fourth week. You got mule deer. We go out there again. Drew's like, I got a new truck. Go out there. Drive all night. Slept in a parking lot not too far from where Isaac was. Isaac gave me a pin. Got up next morning, antelope right in front of the truck. We're not an antelope, but middle of nowhere, above Wyoming. I'll say that. Montana's a big state. And hunted all day. I missed the biggest mule deer of my life.
Big.
Not like ground shrinkage. Absolute stud. Absolute stud.
Archery or gun?
Gun, rifle. I was shooting 308.
What happened?
We were sneaking up through a draw. There's little draws off to the side. And I remember distinctly turning around and looking at Drew and going, we ought to get ready in case we jump a deer up. 2 seconds later, this absolute bruiser stands up 50 yards away, takes off, stops at the top of the hill. Of course, I'm a Goomba. I got my scope on 12, right? I can't see shit. Pull up, make a shot. Don't touch him. Chase him for another half day.
Just monster.
Just absolute giant. Biggest mule deer I've ever seen. But that's my life.
Yeah.
Go back to the truck. Went out that evening to another spot. We ended up both closing the deal. Great hunt. Watching a river bottom. Again, we can't ignore how you're raised. So you're like, I don't know, deer are probably near a river bottom. Like you're just clueless.
They need water, so I'm going to hunt there.
I think there's trees there, and we like trees. So saw another absolute bruiser. Couldn't get a shot at him. Set up. Shot 2 mule deer bucks 10 yards from each other. Just boom, boom, like together. Probably 15, 20 deer out there. Probably 5 or 6 bucks. Nothing to, make the cover of a magazine, but mine had a little scrub of drop tine. Pretty excited about it. Public mule deer.
Yeah.
I mean, our buddy who lives in Montana now would say, yeah, you're the guy shooting mule deer that are too small. But
yeah, Rocky.
I got to tell you, you're taking what you can get, right? Sometimes. Yeah. So we both shot muleys. And where I really effed myself up was, so we decided, okay, let's close the deal on these deer and head to the mountains, right? Head to Bozeman and west. I think it's called Deerhead, Beaver, something. It's west of Bozeman. Giant, millions acres of public, whatever. So we're going to go out there and be those guys. Again, it's 4th week of rifle. Snow's like 8 feet deep. Things you don't anticipate. You're like, man, there's a lot of snow here.
Montana in the winter, it's cold.
Yeah. And then there's years like this year where there's not the snow. It's just wild. So we get out there. And we're driving all over, and we're noticing there's not a lot of people out, and the snow is just ripping. And we spent 3 days out there, did 1 night in a hotel. We were committed to sleeping in the truck.
Right.
Sleeping in a truck in that temperature, not conducive.
You gotta let it run. You leave it running, right?
Oh, yeah. And you gotta have fuel. You gotta have everything. And the last day we were hunting, we went again, we're trying to get out there. Right, we were both in pretty good shape, so we're putting on hikes. I'm 5'6", right? I can only do 3 feet of snow for so long. So Drew's a big dude, and he was doing ultras, so he's in good shape, and it's even putting a hurt on him. He goes, I'm going to walk back further. Like we were walking miles. And I go, I'm going to stay right here and watch this area. Right, I'm cached. He goes, I'm going to walk a little further back in the timber. So he disappears, and I sat at this spot. I'll never forget it. I sat there for hours and hours, and there's not a thing moving, not a coyote. I mean, wind's howling, it's snowing, and I'm getting cold, but I don't want to be a bitch.
Right.
I'm like, no, I'm all right. And I got everything I own on. I mean, I got every wool sock you own, heat packs.
Yep.
It kind of snuck up on me, And still this day, that's where I said I think I screwed myself up, is if it's 40 degrees outside, I can't feel my feet and my hands. And I was hunting, just watching this, and I'm like, man, I can't feel my feet. And then I really couldn't feel my feet. And I'm like, probably not good. I pulled my boots off, and my feet were white. I'm like, okay. So being a little over preparer, at least, I had a pack. I started a little fire, wind's howling, and I ended up sitting by this fire for like an hour trying to warm my feet up. I couldn't feel my hands, couldn't feel my feet. And I'm like, I don't want to leave them out here, right, and go back. So I'm like committed to staying here. And I'm putting my boots back on, walking out, getting wood, coming back to this little campfire. And I'm talking, my feet are on the fire. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to get some circulation back in it. Things you don't know, right? Or you should anticipate, but, I'll say my lesson there was definitely be prepared,
Thank God he had stuff for a fire.
Oh, I didn't want to leave them out there, but I would have probably started losing toes. Like I was like, I think I did it. Like, I think I screwed myself up. And to this day, even hunting, late season bow or hunting shotgun, if I'm not moving, I can't feel my feet or my hands for that matter.
You think it has to do from that hunt?
Yeah, it smoked them. I don't know. You guys you're medical. Nerves and stuff, it smoked.
But once that stuff's gone, it's gone.
I don't know. It turned my hands and feet white. I wouldn't recommend it. And you think you're warm, but it happens so fast, especially with wind.
Wind and snow.
Do you ever get that, like, after you're cold and then you start to warm back up? Do you ever get that itchy, like you start to itch because you're getting the blood flow back?
You know what? I don't itch. My hands are really sensitive. Like, how they say not to dunk your hands in warm water? Yeah. I got to warm myself up pretty slowly. Like, the best thing to do is get up, walk around, and move. Mm-hmm. But if I get it straight up is like a hammer on my hand or my feet if I warm them up too quick.
Yeah.
So out west, it's been an education. And then the last hunt we did was out west, Montana, with an outfitter. I would do that again. Different scenario, right? You go from sleeping in a truck eating Dinty Moore stew, right? Like
Soup
freezing
can.
to death to like, what do we want tonight? Steak or lobster, So, and there's obviously a price difference for that. Great experience. I'd do that again. I'm just not a good deal closer.
Yeah. I mean, we've all got, like, I think all of us in our, the camera, we've been having some camera trouble. So you can still hear us. The YouTube video might be a picture of Will hanging upside down from a pig video right now or something, because we might have lost the video. It looks like
we'll put the Iowa sandbags picture up. When you shoot enough deer, you fill the back of a truck with them. You call them Iowa sandbags.
I'll scour through Will's Facebook and he can send me some pictures to put on the screen for this last part. But yeah, I mean, it was great conversation. We could probably do like a part 2 and a part 3 in the future of the Adventures of Will, because I know we didn't even scratch the surface on a lot of this stuff. But
I'll just tell you some painful learning lessons. I feel like I'm on this earth to learn lessons the hard way sometimes. So
the good news is, I guess we'll save this story for the next time, because we're going to have you on again for sure. We got 52 podcasts due here, but for you say, you have a hard time closing, and we've all gone through our periods where, like, for whatever reason, we're not killing the animals. Your wife killed a giant buck. How many years ago was that?
That was Iowa.
Because I was going to talk about that, and I want to talk about the deer camp that you got your boys involved with now and stuff. But we want to talk about trout camp. I want to talk about public land down in Ohio. I want to talk about
the ice.
Yeah, I want to talk about Canada, but we're not going to get to any of that stuff today. It's a perfect time to kind of wrap this one up. I think we're at, I don't even know how long we are, hour and 30, hour.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, we got plenty of time to get you on again and tell some more stories. That was the suburban pig hunting story.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
wild.
No helicopters.
I fucking love it.
Nothing wild. No night vision. Just Suburbans and.
Well, the one guy had night vision.
Well, yeah. No headlights. Blowing out tires. Pool noodles.
How many pigs do you think that guy kills a year, or did
Killed?
that guy kill a year?
I think
Hundreds, right?
Yeah, and I think it came up recently. If Texas, you asked people in Texas if they'd get rid of all the pigs, they wouldn't. I mean,
It's a source of income.
Yeah, and it's like saying, well, we get rid of coyotes. Like when I grew up, there's
Right.
no coyotes here.
Right.
And would I get rid of coyotes? No. I mean, I
Right.
like shooting coyotes.
Yeah.
So pigs are a part of their culture now.
Yep.
And hundreds. I'd venture to shoot hundreds a year. No problem.
Smart critters, though, huh?
Yeah.
Without ambushing them with a vehicle, smart critters.
Not doing 60 through a chisel piled field. Yeah.
I see these videos every once in a while. Guys hunting like in the deep woods in Arkansas and Georgia and some of those states. Like they run across them up in the mountains, like solo pigs, like 300-400 pounders, like living up in the mountains like a bear, basically.
I've shot them out of tripod stands and senderos. Like you see, guys hunting South Texas. Under feeders, I'd say that's a lot more predictable because there's nothing to eat.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, to us, there's nothing to eat out there, and they're very adapt to coming to a feeder, and that's a lot more predictable hunt. Right. You could shoot pigs all day, and again, what blew me away is shooting pigs, and they're like, "Well, let them leave them." I've never left an animal in the woods in my life.
Right.
And that wasn't warranted. And pigs, they just leave them. Pigs will eat pigs.
Yeah, like you said, they don't eat as good as you would want them to.
No,
That's a shame. Do you think the younger ones would be better? Is it the older ones?
Yeah, the guy, my buddies down there, they want young pigs. Yeah, like suckling sized pigs because the big, especially boars.
Yeah.
Shot a giant boar down in South Texas, and my buddy's like, I was like, I don't know, we could take it back, right? Have process. He's like, don't do that. Just take my word for it. I know you're not from here. Do not.
So you can't even make lunch meat out of them or nothing.
They don't want nothing to do with them. There's way better out there.
Yeah. Well, guys, Deer Shot Podcast, episode 130, The Many Adventures of Will Disbrow, part one. Yeah, part one. Went well. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Any final thoughts?
No. Do the
Wish it
hard
wasn't
stuff.
snowing.
Do the hard stuff. Wish it wasn't snowing.
Yeah, fuck, this weather's killing me. I'm going to retreat back to my house and do nothing for the rest of the day.
Alrighty, we're out.
Out.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.